My dreams are nightmares. How can I sleep? You got the gun against me.
What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Wicked Cool Toys All Elite Wrestling Unrivaled Collection, Nick Jackson. And so here we have Nick Jackson posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at what he comes with. Nick Jackson does come with one accessory. He does come with his entrance jacket, and it's a really nice accessory. It is made out of a soft material, so it does fit on him like a jacket. Other than that, we don't get any other accessories with Nick Jackson here. No alternate hands, which is a little bit unfortunate, but the jacket is really nice. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually take a closer look at his details. And so here we have a closer look at Nick Jackson, and they did a pretty okay job with the head sculpt. The head isn't what I would prefer on a figure, especially a first-time figure, because we don't really have any other Nick Jackson figures, and the only one we have now has this really stylistic face, which really... it's not great. I'm just going to say, out of both the Young Bucks, I think Nick Jackson here is not that impressive. Nick Jackson had a much nicer head sculpt, but that's not to say it's a bad head sculpt. It's just, I think what's throwing it off is that his head is really squished down, and then you have the bandana, which takes up like 120% of his forehead. I know he does have a big forehead. Part of it is his hairline is receding, but his face seems really small. I think they could have increased his face just a little bit and made the bandana just a little bit shorter, and it wouldn't look so awkward. But he has a really, really tiny baby face, and yeah, I think that's one thing that's throwing me off from this figure. It's not terrible, but at the same time it is something to note that he has this really round baby face, and the expression is just not great. Hair is done pretty good. It is a softer material, so it will get out of the way when you move it. Really do like it. It does look like hair, as it's supposed to. So moving on to the body, and oh my goodness, this is the worst case of mismatched colors for the plastic that we have had so far. His head and upper torso are the same color of plastic. Then we have a different color of plastic for his shoulder. It looks like a different color of plastic for both his arms. His fist seems to be the same color as the forearm. And then we have a mismatched color from the abdomen to the top of his upper torso to the arms. He's like 3 shades of bad farmer's tan, and it is really noticeable on Nick Jackson. I think Wicked Cool Toys really has to focus on getting the skin tones to match. I know WWE doesn't do it all the time, but this is something to note, that if they're going to be moving forward with more figures, they gotta make this look good, because oh boy, he has a farmer's tan like no tomorrow. It looks like he was wearing a crop top with some mesh for his arms and didn't have anything covering his abdomen, because it's bad. Under my lights, I don't think you can see it, but under normal lights, oh boy, it's something. It's something different. Does have white wrist tape on both his hands here, and he does have 2 fists. Now, something to note is that on mine, the left arm is kind of wobbly. You can see it's not supposed to be that way. When I move this, it does move the ball joint here in the torso. This one does move the forearm, and that's never a good sign. Now, he does utilize the exact same parts as his brother Matt Jackson, so everything on this figure we have seen before, from the tassels right here on the side to the pants. Everything on him is the exact same, with the exception of a few minor cosmetic paint differences. The main thing being his belt. Nick Jackson here has a white belt, where Nick Jackson had a black belt, and you can see it is the exact same sculpt. There's really nothing separating the two, so if you've seen my Nick Jackson review, or my Matt Jackson review, you pretty much know what you're getting in for with Nick Jackson here. So overall, a good figure, but I think out of all the AEW figures I've had a look at, he is probably the worst of the bunch, and it's not really the figure's fault. It's the company that made his skin tone so very different. And if they had fixed that, I think I'd like this figure a little bit better. Chances are his jacket is going to stay on for the rest of his life after this review and after the photo, so yeah, that's something to take note with this figure. And it's not something you can actually go on the shelves and take a look at because he does have a jacket on. But I digress. With that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him compared to other figures you may have in your collection. And so here we have Nick Jackson posed next to an Ultimate Edition's Brock Lesnar and an Elite CM Punk. And finally, here we have Nick Jackson posed next to older brother Matt Jackson. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually go on to his articulation. Before we go on to the articulation, though, I gotta point out, and it's something I just barely noticed after getting the comparisons done, he is going off at an angle. His left leg is much shorter than his right leg, as you can see. If I try standing him up, this leg is completely off the floor, and it really does throw off his balance, so that is a little bit unfortunate. I think, yeah, you can actually fix it by just altering the way his body goes, but yeah, that is something to note on mine. Might not be a universal issue, but just something to be on the lookout for. He does have the standard Unrivaled edition, or Unrivaled collection articulation, which is a ball joint in the head, which he can look up and down surprisingly well despite having the long hair, so I do like that. Once again, we get zero head tilt, does turn left and right, does hinge down really nicely, and my camera got out of focus. Hinges up. Okay, once again, we're going to have some limitations due to the hair. Arms are on ball joints. They do go out to the side really nicely. Really do like that range. Go all the way around. We do have a bicep swivel, which works fine. Double bend in the elbow, once again going past 90 degrees. We do have a swivel and hinge here at the wrist. No issue there. A ball joint in the torso, so it does move side to side, back and forward, and some rotation. Then we also have another ball joint down here at his lower torso, so it goes back, goes forward, goes to the side, goes to the other side. Ooh, really squeaky. So legs, once again, don't go out that far. You can pivot them out so they go further, but they go off at an angle. Hips do go out to the side very nicely. Thigh swivel, double bend in the knee, works no problem. Once again, we're going to have a hindered foot here, goes back. Doesn't go too far forward. We do have some rock your ankle and some swivel, but other than that, nothing to write home about. So what we're going to do now is actually get him composed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have Nick Jackson posed for my final thoughts, and overall this has probably been the worst AEW figure I've had a look at in terms of quality. It's not saying that it's a bad figure, I'm just saying in terms of quality, Wicked Cool Toys really needs to step up their game, especially when it comes to mismatching plastic colors. I know the excuse they are going with is that the virus going around did make it harder to produce plastic the same color. Okay, whatever. Other companies are doing much better than they are. And Wicked Cool Toys, was it originally Jazzware? If it was, that's no excuse. The Jazzware has been in the toy banking business for a lot of years now, so doing that, it just doesn't make sense on why they are having this many issues with skin tone. Like I said, it's not a bad figure. I just happen to get a really bad batch when it comes to the Nick Jackson figure. I do think that if everything looked a little bit better, I'd be a little nicer to this figure, but in terms of quality, this particular version of my figure is very bad, with the mismatching skin tones, the shorter leg, and then the really round baby face is something that I really don't like. They could have done that a little bit better. Overall, it's still a good figure if you are looking for a Nick Jackson to complete your Young Bucks, and he looks really nice posed next to his brother Matt Jackson. If you are looking for the AEW Unrivaled collection, they are available at Walmart and other wrestling sites like Ringside Collectibles. At the time I'm making this video, they are very hard to come by. I haven't really seen them in stores, and the only way I've gotten hold of mine is through Ringside directly. So if you are looking for them, you gotta find a fresh case at Walmart, or hopefully Ringside does get another restock of figures, because they're really good figures. They're just really hard to get hold of, and they do have some issues, but every figure has issues, so it's not something to really nag on the figure that badly, but we can nag on the company. With that being said, guys, I'm King of Dragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other AEW and wrestling videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you'd like to see me review, let me know down in the comments. And if it fits in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos. And as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.